Welcome to Rom Wills Money Matches, Levels of Work Service. Now, this week I'm going to talk about 3 different levels of work. And this was inspired, well, 2 things inspired this one. One, it was something I saw on YouTube. I can't think of the name of it, so it'd be hard for me to think of it again. But it was kind of like a documentary, and it was talking about work in the United States and like 3 different levels of the work. So this is partly based on that. But then I was inspired to do this because of last week when I was in the grocery store. And one of my local grocery stores was going through a grand reopening. And you know how they do. They get all the managers and everything around, and it was real crowded, and I'm just walking through and I'm just like, this is interesting. Because you had the service workers, obviously, but then you had the managers. I don't know if the actual owners of that particular chain were in there. I don't know. But, you know, that still, when you think about work out here, it's generally 3 general levels. Now, today I wanted to talk about the lowest level, which is service. And I remember it was a quotation, like 70% of Americans are working in service jobs. They are working in service jobs. Basically, they providing services for someone. Now, I know somebody might talk about, manufacturers and all of that, but they still providing service. They still working for someone, and that's very important. Those are the ones who are working on those wage jobs. Those are the ones who are going to want really, higher minimum wage to like start out with, higher wages. Those are the ones who got to live on it. Those are the ones who might have to really struggling with food out here. Really struggling. I mean, come on now. You making a certain amount an hour no matter what you do. No matter what you do, think about something. No matter what you do, you're making a certain amount. And then, you got to really make that go. Because even if you're making, like say you're making $20 an hour, if you have a W-2, well, part of that, how much are you actually taking home? You might be taking home $14, maybe even less than that. I haven't worked a W-2 job in a long time, so I'm not really sure. So, it's like, okay, so what are you really doing? And it could be tough. It could be tough indeed. You got some people working service jobs. I've seen plenty of clips from, shows, documentaries talking about homeless in America. You got some working poor in America. You got people living out their cars. They still working a job, but they can't afford a home. It's tough. It's the lowest level. It's the toughest level. And usually it's people who are working, they don't have the education level. They might have a high school education at best, even though you do have some people who do have college degrees who are working on those jobs. I can relate, trust me. One of my thousands of jobs, some of them were just plain service. So, it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing, but it's something that you have to pay attention to. Now, last week, the other week I had talked about, I think it was last week. I get so many videos up here, I can get confused. I was talking about if you need money, the most basic way to get money is a job. And even a service job, even if it's something that you're doing while you like working on your business, while you trying to build up the 3rd level of work, which I'll get to this week. But it's still something. It's still something to really think about. It's something to think about, because I don't care what it is. It could be some drivers, delivery company drivers. It could be people cleaning up. It's people definitely working in these department stores, grocery stores, retail. I mean, that's a big thing. Yes, you still have some manufacturing, and you can argue there that that's also service. You provide maybe not to the public, but you're providing a service, putting together something. You still getting paid. You still getting paid. Usually you getting paid hourly. And I'm gonna tell you what, I don't know, it depends on where you at, where you live, your family structure, everything. Like if you're a single person working on one of those type of jobs, it might not be that bad. Because I know at least one person, a couple people, they're working on that type of job, but they still live at home. So they're not really paying too much in rent, if they paying at all. So, it might not be that bad for them. But just imagine somebody working on one of those jobs and that's most of us. Let's just be real. That's most of us. And they're struggling. They are struggling. It's interesting, and it really is an interesting dynamic, but it is still a level. And as most people can relate to that. When I was walking through that grocery store, I was thinking, wow, there's a lot of people who work here. A lot of people who work here, and that's just one grocery store. If I go to another one, a lot of people working there. You got all types of stores. Any retail store, any restaurant, anything like that. You have a ton of people going through there, doing the stuff that they have to do. And it's an interesting dynamic. It really is. And then you just sit back and you think, you can't, I'm gonna be real, you can't look down on it, because one of the things, and I've seen some, I'll just say political entities try to really look at that, and they actually building up money for somebody else. They actually building up money, because if those service workers weren't there, and of course, there's an argument about AI and robots and all of that taking over. You know what? We're not even going to get into that now. But if they weren't there, then other things wouldn't move. And indeed, when you get into that AI, let's just get into it anyway. You got a lot of people complaining because you got you do have some grocery stores where somebody can just walk in, scan their stuff. They don't even need that. But they not creating jobs. And I'm gonna tell you what, in the grocery stores, when I can, I don't go through the self-service checkout. When I can. If it's too crowded, yeah, but when I can. And the reason why is that cashier needs money. Because if everybody starts going through self-service or something like that, that really affects the company's need for that cashier. They're making money. I don't mind. And that's how I'm looking at it. But they still providing a service. Even, knowing some people who work in some of the grocery stores. Like one guy I know, he's real cool. I haven't seen him in a while. It's yet another grocery store. Let me just say something real quick. All this talk about food and everything, there's a whole bunch of grocery stores, at least where I live. And they keep a good amount of people in there. So, yeah. Food might cost more, but people still buying it. Well, they gotta eat it, like I said. And I've said that before for business. But I was thinking about one guy, all he does is just stack and, put stuff out and everything. And what I would consider merchandising food. If he wasn't there, a lot of stuff wouldn't get down. Cause see, one thing about service, we do need it. We do need those type of jobs. And they are very important. They are very important because that's why when you have strikes and things of that nature, it can really slow down stuff. Because I'm talking about the stores and everything, but what about truckers? What about people unloading stuff from the docks? Things of that nature. But it's still a level of work to think about. And like I say, most people, the number of this particular, I cannot remember the name of this documentary. Watch once I finish this series and I'm just bopping about. I'll just happen to see the documentary on, when I'm just on YouTube. I'll just happen to see the documentary. Hey, and if I did, I'll just put the name of it in the description box. But that's the lowest level of work. General work. I say the most lowest level of general legal work and everything. So, it's very important. So, and that's the thing. We got to look at like the different levels of everything. So, I want y'all to think about it. It's just something to think about. It's more or less I'm sharing it for just to give a perspective. Because one thing on this channel, not just telling you about businesses or managing money, but just giving you an overall perspective about money and how people are making money. All right. So anyway, that's all I have for now. You know the deal. Let's go make that money.